testimonialist was compensated for their time.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here, host of You Better You Bet, reminding you to check out the show. Now, why should you check out You Better You Bet? Because we bring you the most fun. We bring you the most insightful, the most entertaining show in the wagertainment world. From up-to-the-minute breakdowns of backdoor covers, bad beats, and the cheers and tears that come alongside them. Plus, you'll get the best betting analysis anywhere from myself, Ken Barkley, and some of the best minds in the sports wagering world. So tune in weekdays, noon to 3 on Arizona Sports Betting Station, 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic.
After 3 years of legalized sports betting, something completely new is now live in Arizona. Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here, and I'd like to introduce you to SportTrade. SportTrade is the first sports betting app that gives you the option to see the odds expressed as probabilities, and it's going to change in-game betting forever. If it's easier to understand 52% probability of winning versus minus 108 odds, SportTrade is your new home. With this percent odds feature, cashing out now makes much more sense. As the win probability changes, so does the value of your bet. Even if you're an experienced bettor and you prefer American odds, you'll love seeing odds closer to minus 106 versus the normal minus 110 offered just about everywhere else, coupled with near instant in-play betting. No more spinny wheels. Download SportTrade on your iPhone today to see the difference and beat the book. Use promo code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet you place in your first week. Terms apply.
SportTrade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of The Pen, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing catch. Because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable. And one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, The Pen is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, The Pen is donating 40 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield Guards, Real Fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 worth in Mississippi.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
In most countries of the world, Forte means door. United Forte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Forte, Porte. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
Hey, son, what you doing?
Looking around for jobs, offices, 9 to 5. I don't want anything boring.
You know, Brian's son is in the Phoenix Police Academy. Pretty sure he's not bored.
I never thought of that.
Check out joinphxpd.com and take a look.
Over 80 specialty details like detective and canine handler. What else? Dignitary protection, 911 operator? They have aviation and dive team jobs?
Rise to serve. Find more today at joinphxpd.com. Protect and serve with the elite.
Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
And here we go, like we do every time around this time of day. It is Beat the Book right here on 1580 The Fanatic. I'm Dion Rose alongside me, as always, our betting expert, Dylan Cohen. Broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios in sunny uptown Scottsdale. And today on the show, I think you have a couple of guesses of where we're going. We're going to start with some NFL football. And then segment 2, I bet you can't guess where we're going. We've got a special guest that we're going to talk to later, and we'll let Dylan introduce him right after I tell you that you're on the text line, the Fanatic text line. 888-368-1580 is how you get your voice heard across the show. What were some of the bets that you made last night? Did you win any money? Did you lose any money? Did you get caught by a bad beat? We want to know. Drop it on the text line. That's 888-368-1580. And then I'll let Dylan introduce who we'll be talking to later, right after he tells you who powers the show.
Sport Trade powers this beautiful afternoon program that we have here. Make sure you download Sport Trade, get that account set up. They just had their soft launch here in Arizona last week. They are revolutionizing the sports betting experience. It is the only platform that allows you to wager on sports as if you are trading stocks. So you can purchase shares in your favorite team to win, to cover the spread, to, hit the total over or under, score in any given game. This is the new kind of betting experience that's available now for you in Arizona. So check out Sport Trade. Lots of great educational content on their website. Learn more about all the different features that they have. And as Keon has mentioned, we have a special guest joining us on this show today. He's going to be coming on for the second segment. And if you happen to follow the Beat the Book Instagram account, that handle is at Beat the Book Fanatic, all spelled out. You would have actually seen that last night there was a post that was made, which is a little unusual. Typically, those posts will come out during the day, right before noon. But I felt like, particularly being an Arizona sports fan, we're in need of a pretty good distraction right now. We have not had the best luck lately. Between our Diamondbacks getting eliminated yesterday from postseason contention, and then taking that Cardinals and Commanders game into account as well. It's going to be good to kind of take a step back from a lot of the usual suspects that we've been talking about on this show between the basketball and the football. And we're 3 weeks away as of today from the start of the regular season for the NBA. All of the teams are having their media days right now. There's a lot of great storylines coming out. So it seemed perfectly appropriate to go ahead and make a post about NBA futures. And that's going to be a big theme on this show. So stick around, because in segment 2, Ced Ceballos, former Suns player, former slam dunk champion, former All-Star, he is going to be joining Keon and I to talk a little hoops. We're going to, flesh some things out. We're going to figure out, which team is ultimately going to win which division. We're going to talk, player awards, lots of good futures to start to take a look at and play some wagers on. So stick around for that conversation. Keon and I are extremely excited for it. But let's how
could you not be?
How could you not be? Particularly when, between you and I mean, that's really our thing with basketball here. We love all sports, but I think every sports fan can identify with like one in particular. That's like your main thing,
Yeah. Like I actually have played basketball in my life, which separates football from me and baseball from me, which are sports I love, but I didn't play them. So, basketball's just always got a special place for me. I got indoctrinated into the cult of college football while I was out in the South, because you don't talk college football on the radio in the South. You might as well not exist. Nobody's here to listen to you talk about the Atlanta Hawks when you could be talking about the Georgia Bulldogs. So I'm excited that basketball season's back and I get to talk about kind of my main sport.
Same here. I couldn't have said it any better myself. And this is why the month of October is so great for any sports fan, because this is where we get the intersection of all 4 of the major sports. By the end of this month, they're all going to be going on at the same time. Lots of great betting opportunities whenever that happens. But looking at what happened last night in Monday Night Football, all of the picks that were posted yesterday were between the 2 games that were on. And in that first one with the Titans and the Dolphins, this was a game that we pretty largely expected to be low scoring, to be a bit underwhelming. And, for the most part, it pretty much lived up to that.
Yeah, it basically was. Yeah.
Now, on paper, it's not necessarily going to look that way because the final score of this game was 31 Tennessee Titans and 12 for the Miami Dolphins. So pretty decent margin of victory there for the Titans. And I'm going to be completely direct and honest. I did watch the beginning of this game. And then as I was trying to put together the NBA Futures post last night, and obviously with, this being just a matchup of two very poor offenses, it wasn't the best TV. Definitely that Lions and Seahawks game was the much better product out of the two for the NFL last night. But I happened to notice, and this one frustrated me. I'm not sure if you saw this, Keon, but one of our bigger picks that we talked about yesterday was to take the under in this game. And we had the under at 36.5. And I saw some highlights of this morning, and really, really great way to get me upset. The score of this game with about 24 seconds left, it was 24-12. So Titans were up by 12, 2-possession game. They have the ball. They're basically in the red zone, very close to being able to score a touchdown. But 99% of NFL teams in that situation, they don't try to score. They take a knee because that's the right thing to do. You've already got the victory in hand. No need to try to risk any injuries to players. No need to risk any funny business. You just take a knee, you walk off the field, you take your road win. That's not what the Titans did. The Titans, for whatever reason, and I couldn't tell you the exact names of the players that did this. This is just a highlight that I saw. The Titans, with 24 seconds left, ran the ball in and scored a touchdown.
Yeah. Tony Pollard bounced it out to the right, punched it in. Now, granted, the Dolphins could have probably done a better job tackling there. It's not like the Titans ran a play, to like a counter run to try and get Pollard some yardage there. They were trying to run out the clock, it looked like, and the Dolphins just did such a bad job tackling. And you could probably make an argument for kneeling it out, but with this Titans team being as bad as they are, I don't think that they want to accept that they're that bad. And Mason Rudolph was out there at quarterback, which means you lose Will Levis. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't watch this entire game either. So I don't know if Will Levis was hurt or benched. Doesn't really matter. They looked infinitely better with Mason Rudolph out there. So maybe you're just trying to let that offense feel good about where they're at. Like, hey, no, we've got this guy who's got more experience, and look at what's going on with Andy Dalton. Look at what's going on with Sam Darnold. Maybe Mason Rudolph can be that spark plug, because you can't have your NFL team quit in week 4. That's a good way to get fired.
Well, and for anyone that couldn't kind of put this all together, the total combined score with 24 seconds left was 36, just a hair under that 36 and a half.
37 and a half.
And then Tony Pollard. And honestly, I'm not even so mad at Tony Pollard. After that explanation, it's 50-50.
Because and what do you want Pollard to do once they hand him the ball? Like lay down? I've seen guys do that, but that's usually because you don't want like an onside kick. You don't want to give the other team time. He has the ball. He's running to the end zone. Those numbers are going to help get him paid maybe in the future. You're not going to turn down a free touchdown if they're not going to tackle you.
Well, and I will say in this game, because I was watching at the very beginning, very, very satisfying to see a very early Will Levis interception. I believe he did suffer some kind of like a shoulder injury or something along those lines. And then Rudolph got thrown in there pretty early on in the game. So
if you took that under, you're having a very bad day. But if you're Lost Toby says that touchdown won him a matchup. Fantasy football.
All right.
It goes both ways. Because also if you took the over for whatever insane reason, you thought, no, there's somehow, looking at these two rosters, enough offense to believe in them. And again, I would love to hear how you came to that conclusion. But if you did come to that conclusion, you actually had a really good day that you were sweating out at the very last second.
I feel like it's almost the equivalent of like in like a blowout basketball game where, a team that you'd expect to just be like dribbling out like the clock. Instead, they just run down and they jam it. Like at the buzzer,
you've got it made. You've got the right pick, and then somebody throws a windmill down. You're just basically
kind of like that.
Yeah.
So that was unfortunate. A little bit of good, little bit of bad in that game. And with the Seahawks and the Lions in that second matchup, Detroit finally got the upper hand on the Seahawks. If you remember, we spoke yesterday at length about how the Seahawks in recent years had consecutive wins in Detroit. And it's always by a fairly small margin. It's a close game,
but they're high scoring games too. And it's very interesting to me because, when you talk about some of the trends with teams, sometimes you have to go back 8, 9, 10 years. The trends kind of don't apply sometimes in the NFL because of how much turnover there is on every team from year to year. That's not really the case for this. For whatever reason, the NFL likes the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks playing football because they do it just about every year at this point. And so, you have enough solid information with two rosters that are pretty much the same over the last few matchups or the last handful of matchups. You can start to draw some conclusions from that.
Well, and to that point, I mean, look at this output from Geno Smith and DK Metcalf.
He had like a 50-yard or 50 attempt game for Geno.
395 passing yards. DK Metcalf goes for 7 receptions, 104 receiving yards. I mean, that's just something where, this is now played out 3 straight years where those two seem to have pretty good offensive performances whenever they go to Detroit to take on the Lions. But in this case, they were going up against Jared Goff, who did not miss a throw. 18 completions on 18 passing attempts, 292 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He even managed to catch a touchdown himself.
That is not as wide open as I originally thought. I had to go back and watch it because I somehow missed that touchdown. And probably got a beer or something during that portion of the game. I thought it was going to be a clear and wide open touchdown for Jared Goff. It wasn't. He didn't make a contested catch, but the defender was like within a step of him. That was a pretty good catch for Jared Goff.
Granted, it's understandable from the Seahawks side. Like, I wouldn't have expected that kind of a play. I don't think I've ever seen Jared Goff, try and make himself an eligible receiver.
I don't think I've ever seen Jared Goff do that much running.
So, that was an interesting one to see from the Dan Campbell playbook.
It is, especially, well, first off, Jared Goff is running and his legs are moving. He's not going that far for how much his legs were moving. But also, yeah, it completely caught the Seahawks off guard because of how physical the Lions had been every other time they went to the red zone. Like 2 short touchdowns for Jahmyr Gibbs, just a 3-yard violent push. There was a 1-yard touchdown for Gibbs. There was a Montgomery touchdown, I think, a little bit later on that he basically forced his way in the end zone. So you're looking at a very physical set of trips to the red zone, and then all of a sudden you get this trick play, Amon-Ra St. Brown to Jared Goff. I wouldn't have seen it either if I were Mike Macdonald and the Seattle Seahawks, and Mike Macdonald is a very, very good defensive mind.
So, now we can kind of, look over the Seahawks and their, resume, so to speak, of, what they've done so far this season. And I am comfortable, looking at this team, and I think they're definitely a playoff team. I don't think the 3-0 record was a fluke by any means. This Lions team is also another one that's going to make a deep run in the postseason. But when you look at the Seahawks and their schedule coming up, they haven't really got into any, divisional games yet within the NFC West. So I have to imagine their prospects are looking pretty good. Next game is at home against the Giants, and then they've got a showdown against the 49ers at home the following week. So, it seems possible that, after the next couple of weeks when they have to go on the road again to take on Atlanta, they could have a 5-1 record and be, the clear front runner in the NFC West.
It's distinctly possible. The early stumbles of the Niners opened that door. The fact that the Niners are still not healthy have opened that door. And I just think that the Seahawks are playing defense at such an incredibly high level right now. And I understand that, you just gave up 42 to Detroit, but need I remind you, that's Detroit. This offense has been putting up big numbers, over the last couple of years. Ben Johnson, as the offensive coordinator, he finds a way to get it done against all kinds of defenses. So I'm interested in seeing if the Seahawks are able to prove how legit this defense is. And they were also missing a number of players on that defensive line. And that's obviously going to change some things too, because I don't think Mike Macdonald was able to do everything that he wanted to do. When you're missing a lot of that interior pressure, means your edge rushers don't work as well because now they're getting more double teams. And then, of course, it means that you're not getting to the quarterback as quickly, so your secondary is having to hold up a whole lot longer. I'm interested in seeing what a more healthy Seattle Seahawks team looks like. This team looks very, very good.
Geno Smith passing yards prop and DK Metcalf receiving yards prop. Those are two to keep an eye on going forward in the season because they just have a very dynamic connection right now. They've been consistent. DK Metcalf last 3 games has now had 100 receiving yards or more. So that's going to be something to keep in mind, particularly later on this week when we're getting into our next round of NFL picks. But I do want to just transition here really quickly while we still have a little bit of time, Keon. There was an interesting storyline that came out today within the world of baseball. It is about our Diamondbacks, and they have been having some media time now that the season is officially over. Players are giving interviews, people in the front office are giving interviews. There's interesting little tidbits coming out, but something in particular was said by Diamondbacks owner Ken Kendrick, and it was very odd to see. You don't typically see an owner single out an individual player on their team the way Ken Kendrick did. He was giving an interview, just giving his thoughts about, how he felt about the Diamondbacks season. And he said the number one biggest mistake that was made was the signing of Jordan Montgomery. And now, and in the same statement, he was taking credit. He was trying to accept responsibility for being the one
taking the blame.
He was taking the blame.
I'll be the fall guy for bringing this guy in here. Is an insane thing for an owner to say about a guy he might owe $30 million to next year.
Well, and then it just makes you just wonder, like, why would anyone do that? And Jordan Montgomery has a player option to return to the Diamondbacks. If he were to forego that and try and fetch a new contract on the open market, his value is not anywhere near where he was able to secure a contract last season. So is this some strategic positioning from Ken Kendrick trying to, maybe make the locker room not as attractive of a place for Jordan Montgomery? Or is he just kind of injecting some bile now into the locker room and, kind of making it a little bit more of a toxic environment?
Well, definitely not the second one, because I don't think he wants the locker room to be toxic. But I do think that the way that Jordan Montgomery played, for what we know about the Kendricks family, which is that they're not really big on spending money on players in general, but then you're convinced to cut the check on this guy that might help put you over the top. It's a complete bust. It doesn't work out. And he's got a player option. If you can make things uncomfortable for the player who has a player option, he might choose to leave and you don't have to pay him at all, which bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him, because I just genuinely think that if you owe a guy $30 million, that's not nearly uncomfortable enough to make him say, no, I'm not taking that. I'll take less somewhere else because the owner of the team doesn't like me. That's not going to happen.
What I'm waiting for is just to see, and this is where you would know that this now spilled into the locker room. Do any players kind of hop on this train with Ken Kendrick? Do we see, that kind of feedback?
I regret having you here too. Yeah.
I mean, that would really just, continue to turn this into a bit of a soap opera.
A little bit. I don't think players are going to do that because you never know, and guys in the league are connected, and usually players tend to be against management. So almost no one is going to be like, yeah, I side with the owner publicly. They may agree. They may look at Jordan Montgomery and go, if you weren't a colossal failure, if you were just average, because you weren't just average, you were bad. If you were just average, we might have done more this year. They might resent him, but I don't think that they're going to publicly side with the owner. I don't think we're going to hear that. That would be insane if that happened. And also, I think that you can go ahead and say that championship window's closed, because you can't win a championship with a locker room that's brewing to become whatever that would be.
Hopefully, PR department steps in, cleans up a little bit of the mess, and maybe they can just turn the page on this and just kind of act like it never happened.
Yeah, and look, like I said, that $30 million makes a whole lot of things go down much easier. Like, all right, I didn't play well. I'll try to play better next year while I take your money. Like, this is not. I'm not saying no. The way I just played, no one's paying me. So at least with Jordan, I don't think you're going to get a year where he shows up and he goes, well, the owner hates me, so I'm not going to try, because now that's a contract year for him. So we're still going to see Jordan Montgomery trying his best for whatever that looks like. But I don't think that Ken Kendrick's move here, if it is in fact the move to try and get Jordan Montgomery to jump so he doesn't have to push him, I don't know that that's necessarily going to work out the way he thinks.
Well, we will have to keep an eye on that and see how things play out for the D-backs there. And we gotta get to a break here, Keon. We're lagging a little bit behind. We've got a couple of texts on the text line here, so I'll go ahead and get to you guys because we want to get to Sed Ceballos on the other side of this thing. And I don't want anybody waiting for like 20 minutes for their text to get read. Baker's Cocky Hen says, tell me you made that $20 bet on your Commanders, Keon, at 120-1. Currently 50-1, but sure to get lower and lower when they beat the Browns and Panthers and Giants over the next 5 games. Going to be sitting at 7-2 or 8-1. I'll tell you what, Baker's Cocky Hens, I did not place a bet on my Commanders for $20 at $20 at 120-1. But I did place a 50-cent bet on the Commanders at 120-1 because I do that every year. I just throw 50 cents at it. If the sky falls and something miraculous happens, well, then cool. I made something for my team actually being good. That's still skin in the game.
That's still skin in the game. Trust me. That 50 cents can turn into $150. So I'd like it to go down. Trust me, no one wants that to happen more than me. I still have doubts though. Sir Drives a Lot says, to be fair, Kendrick was asked with Montgomery's name in the question whether or not he regretted having that. So there you go. He wasn't just bringing it up out of the blue. So that's a fair point there, Sir Drives a Lot. Thanks for that. We've got to run right now because we want to get to the other side, and I don't think you're going to want to miss this. Sed Ceballos will be joining us right here on Beat the Book on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Live and local.
Kevin Harlan here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner and I are set to bring you the action between the Falcons and the Eagles from Philadelphia. Philly with Saquon Barkley, the running back, now sparking the offense. They return home after a big win in Brazil over Green Bay. Now they host Atlanta, looking for their first win with quarterback Kirk Cousins. Join us on Monday Night Football.
Right here on 1580, The Fanatic.
Vanguard is 100% client-owned, serving over 50 million investors every day. Whether you're planning for retirement, putting your kids through college, or saving up for your next adventure, Vanguard can help you set personalized investment goals. All investing is subject to risk. Vanguard is owned by its funds, which are owned by Vanguard's fund shareholder clients. Copyright 2024, The Vanguard Group, Inc., all rights reserved, Vanguard Marketing Corporation Distributor.
This is the story of the one. As a warehouse manager, her job is to transform chaos into clarity and to see patterns where others see problems. Luckily, she's got a partner who shares her perspective. Grainger offers over 1 million industrial-grade products, backed by real person support and in-depth online resources, so she can tackle every task with precision and turn potential setbacks into streamlined success. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona.
4 years. That's how long it took Democrats to ruin our economy and plunge our southern border into anarchy. Who helped them hurt us? Ruben Gallego. Washington could have cut taxes for Arizona families, but Ruben blocked the bill. And his fellow Democrats gave a bigger break to the millionaire class in California and New York. They played favorites and cost us billions. And Rubin wasn't done yet. Democrats could have secured the border. Instead, they invited an invasion and used our tax dollars to pay for it. Ruben Gallego even backed the law to let them vote in our elections. Don't give Gallego and the Democrats another 4 years to hurt us. Give your support to a real Arizona leader, Kari Lake. Kari and the Republicans will secure the border, support our families, and never turn their backs on us. Kari Lake for Senate.
I'm Kari Lake, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Kari Lake for Senate and the NRSC.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like climbing a mountain, but that mountain is also covered in banana peels. Then when something new gets added to your list, you're like, nope, I'm already climbing this huge, super slippery banana peel mountain of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to manage your policy on our mobile app. So climbing that banana peel mountain feels more like a leisurely stroll. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
Now open in Scottsdale. It's United Forte Custom Door Showroom with 40,000 Euro doors and hundreds of state-of-the-art designs and finishes on display, plus kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and more, all at wholesale prices. Builders, contractors, designers, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hidden Loop. That's United Forte, P-O-R-T-E. Stop by to see and feel the quality. United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
Don't miss a minute of the action when Sun Devil football returns to Mountain America Stadium Saturday, October 5th, when they take on Big 12 rival Kansas. Svoboda throws, intercepted by Piaseu. Cyrus Piaseu is going to take it all the way in for an Arizona State touchdown. A pick six for San Diego State transfer Cyrus Piaseu. Get your tickets today by calling 480-727-0000 or go online to sundeviltickets.com.
We know how it goes. You can't always tune in and hear your favorite shows and hosts.
Dude, look, I'm a loser. Okay?
It's cool, bro. That's why we post podcasts of your favorite shows and hosts. Listen when you want to. Listen on demand.
That is great and frankly kind of amazing.
Go to 1580thefanatic.com to download.
And we're really excited to get to this particular conversation. Dylan and I, big fans of the NBA, really big fans of the Phoenix Suns. And we've got a lot of NBA questions moving forward. And who else better to answer these questions than an NBA veteran, 10 years in the NBA, former Phoenix Sun, all-star, Sed Ceballos joining us on the show today. How you doing, Sed?
I'm good. I'm actually here because I was a second rounder, and I heard the Raiders need a second rounder for that trade. So I was going to throw my name in the hat. No, I can't.
See if you can get back.
See if I mean, it seems like kickoff seems to be the easiest thing that you can do now in the NFL.
You just stand there.
I just stand there, and hopefully the kicker's got a good leg and he puts it into the stands, and I don't have to do anything. So. How you guys doing? Everybody good?
We're good.
Doing great. Really appreciate you coming on with us today, Sed. Last night, I finally put out the NBA Futures edition of Beat the Book.
Right.
I've got picks on there for all the different divisions, who's going to win which conference, league leaders. So there's a lot of great stuff on there. If you don't know how to get to the Beat the Book page, you can go to 1580thefanatic.com. Scroll down, click on that Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen logo. That's going to take you to the site with all of the picks. Likewise, you can also get there on my Instagram. Again, the account is at Beat the Book Fanatic, all spelled out. Click the link in the bio. That'll take you right to the site with all the picks that are posted each week. And Sed, this is a really compelling NBA season that we're about to get into here.
We are finally back to, like first fans, name the bottom team. I'll wait. There are no really you want to put Utah there because the season they had and they're trying to kind of rebuild. You want to put maybe you think about Orlando, but no, not really. I mean,
I'm a Wizards fan, Sed.
I was trying to be nice.
I was going to go Wizards because they just got the Michael Jordan jinx on them right now. They can't break out of that little thing that they had years ago, but. Other than that, there's a chance for each and every team in each division to possibly get in that first 10, either the play-in or the 8, because this is it's just variations. They really done a great job. It took a while for this whole free agency moving thing to kind of equal out, where everybody has a superstar or two, and they have a chance to compete. Maybe not for a championship. And I'm not saying all these teams can win a championship, but they do have an opportunity to compete for that 10 spot.
Well, and we're seeing the ramifications of, you know, the salary cap overhaul and that whole system. And now there's a first apron and a second apron. And you don't want to be that team that crosses that second apron and is there year after year, like our Phoenix Suns, because that, you know, cripples your ability to, you know, make moves. Right. It limits what you can do in trades. It limits how much money you can sign people for. So there's a whole host of repercussions that it's taken years to play out. We're starting to really kind of see all that stuff shake out. But said, I think it's only right that while we have you here, we should probably start with, you know, our very own Phoenix Suns in the Pacific Division. This is a bit of an interesting race. We were just talking about it before you came on. You know, some teams have done some things to change their fortunes. Sacramento's got a very promising looking squad. We certainly love the moves that the Phoenix Suns were able to do between the coaching change to Mike Budenholzer, bringing in Tyus Jones on a veteran minimum contract that could end up being the absolute steal of the whole free agency period. You've got the LA Clippers, who didn't really come through on negotiations with their star player, and it drove him across the country. Then you've got the Lakers, who didn't really do a whole lot other than changing their coach. And then, you know, we've got the Bronny and LeBron combination. So, you know, looking at the landscape of things, how do you see the Pacific Division right now?
Well, yeah, let's start in the Valley. Let's start with the Suns. I mean, the coaching change was really quick. I thought it was. But you do bring in current. I wouldn't say current, but, you know, they both won championships within a 5-year period. So I think that the knowledge of basketball and where the game has been going, I think both of the coaches were qualified. Why they made the change, I have no idea. I'm speculating the chemistry between the big three, KD, Booker, and Bill weren't clicking with the coaches staff. I didn't see a lot of smiles from Kevin. Even when I would attend the games, I was like, man, where's the KD smile? Like the confident smile, like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and I'm doing what I love. So that might have been it. Who knows? But I do want to commend them for the Jones. I do want to commend them for keeping the three there, because they were talking about, you know, moving somebody, having to get somebody in there. I spent a great amount of time trying to figure out defensively what would they do, because you know, after 99 had his problems here. I'm not gonna mention his name, but you know, after he had his problems there, then went back to the Bucks, and then I don't know where he's going this year. I thought that was their tough guy, and they needed a tough guy to back up Booker, because Booker doesn't need to fight. KD doesn't need to fight. Bill is a tough one too. He likes to take a couple chippy ones every now and again, but he still needs to be in the game. And where were they going to get that defensive presence from? And you know, that's the tough part about it, because you're going to need that in order to defend. To LeBron James, Anthony Davis in the post. Now you got DeMar in Sacramento. You obviously Steph Curry is just unbelievable. Who can guard him? But you still needed a presence to try to either slow him down or make him work hard. The Clippers organization definitely missed out on one of their super free agents that they wanted to keep with Paul. But which is dangerous about the Clippers is that Kawhi is hurt. And last time Kawhi's hurt at the beginning of the season, he ended up winning a championship in Toronto. So it's kind of scary giving that guy some rest. And then he come, you know, in the later part of the season, if he comes in with some rest and the way he pampers himself, it's scary because he is that dangerous type of player.
Well, and the Clippers kind of have some sort of weird momentum right now because they're, you know, playing in this brand new state-of-the-art stadium, which looks unbelievable, by the way. I'm like, very, very excited to make my way out to, I think they're calling it like the Intuit Dome or the Intuit Arena.
I think that's what it is.
Something along those lines. Okay. But I mean, it's definitely got some really exciting stuff. But, you know, when you look at the actual moves that they made, you know, they brought in Derrick Jones Jr., who is in some ways kind of a poor man's Paul George. I don't think he brings the same kind of offensive edge to the table, but certainly a very capable defender, high energy guy. Yes. I think their biggest variable is going to be Kevin Porter Jr. I mean, that was a guy that showed a lot of promise in the league. Had a pretty good run in Houston, but in each of the teams that he's been with, there's been things that have happened off the court that have just completely derailed, the progress that he's made. So he's getting another chance in LA. Will probably be one of the more featured players on that roster. They did lose Russell Westbrook. They are bringing back James Harden. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on there. They are currently priced as the least likely team to win the Pacific Division. Seth, I'd like to get your thoughts on the Lakers. We're about to see in a few weeks the very first pairing of a father and a son in an NBA game. I mean, for someone that played in the NBA, can you picture yourself being in a locker room where there's a father and a son, and maybe like someone's casually calling someone's son or dad? Or it's really bizarre.
It's unbelievable. Just a credit to LeBron taking care of himself and his body, and also Bronny being zoned in enough to try to take it to the next level, not only as far as on the court, but off the court. He could have gotten into a lot of bad things, so to speak, because he's got that crown on his head. We saw, His Highness, the Airness sons, kind of get into some difficult things and
good point.
Mess around. But the fact that when you have a target on your back, I'm talking about Bronny. When you have a target on your back, people come at you all the time. I have sons, and they talk about that all the time. Wearing this, dad, you don't understand, having his name on the back is tough because people want to, make their careers off of dominating you or getting you out of the game. And now it's such a celebratory thing to do anything on any sporting event. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, even football, you make a tackle and you got to get up and shine and do your dance, this, that, and the other, because might be an opportunity for you marketing wise and to go viral. So you have to take full advantage of that. And I understand it, but so for him to do, the young fella to do that and be able to, and I was like, if the Lakers don't draft him, it's going to be bad. I mean, that would have been a bad situation having him somewhere else. And I know LeBron would have probably tried to, hey, let me get out of here and go try to do this because I only got, maybe 5 years left, because I think he's got 2 dominant MVP level years left, and then he's going to move to the post, and then that's when he's going to be even more dangerous. But he won't be able to, I think he won't be able to do. But I think the biggest thing with this crew is D'Angelo and the healthiness, obviously, of the big fella Davis in the middle, because there's a chance where D'Angelo is going to have to be bigger than LeBron. There's going to be some stretches that he's going to have to be bigger than LeBron. Not as far as fan wise, but I'm talking about in the game. He's going to have to make some big shots. He's going to have to take command of the basketball. He can't drift off into this superstardom if they keep him. He can't drift off into this superstardom where he starts playing lackadaisical and he starts playing for the fans and the crowd and that social media and trying to go viral. And, he has 3, 4, 5 good games. And then he's, the outfits come out during the walk-in and all this. And he gets away from the priority of him playing hard and him staying consistent. And that's the biggest thing I think they're going to have a problem with, keeping that guy consistent and keeping Davis healthy. And if they do, you put LeBron James in the fourth quarter, it's dangerous. Officiating wise, dangerous. It's just what he can do with the basketball and his ability to try to, to finish basketball games. Now, I don't know what it's going to look like with him and his son on the court. Like that, I was open on the last one. I'm like, shut up, son. I'll hit you when I hit you.
I think that's the part that I'm the most curious about, and I think a lot of people are the same. It's really just like all the little things. If you're sitting courtside, are you going to hear that that banter going on? Is that going to get captured by mics on national TV broadcasts? Let alone how long is Bronny going to actually be with the team? I mean, there seems to be an expectation that the NBA is going to get its father-son moment. They got to get it for the cameras. Big marketing opportunity with that, of course. But then after the fact, more than likely, Bronny's going to spend some time developing in the G League, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Any player that was drafted in his position is generally spending a lot of their early years in the league in the G League. In and out. It's typically a position that's on a 2-way contract. Bronny was able to get himself a guaranteed deal. But still, they're going to treat that accordingly. There's some other guys that, have put in the time, have put in the work that, deserve, some of those lower spots on the Lakers bench. But said overall, who do you see winning the Pacific Division this year?
I do consistently think the Suns have a great chance. I love what San Antonio's done with CP, getting some veteran leadership with that team. And the reason I see the Suns doing it is because of the big three that they have, and also have an opportunity to have some big guys in there. They stole Plumlee over for some interior fouls and a little interior defense. Don't put him on the free throw line though. But don't tell nobody I said that, big fella. But I think the opportunity for the Suns is there because they have that combination. But I don't see the Clippers. Taking the Pacific down. Just because of I do think James is still unbelievable, but he takes days off. He let things get to him. He takes things personal too much. So out of an 82-game stretch, you might give 50, 60 out of him where he's super dangerous and 20-plus points and up, 10-plus assists and up, and then he's going to throw some rebounds, 10-plus up there too. So Sacramento could be dangerous. They could be pulled together quick by a very enthusiastic and relaxed but stern coach in Mike Brown. You never know. And DeMar is he's such a pro that it's going to rub off on anybody else besides, because they already have a decent 3-4, but 5, 6, 7, and even 8 are going to be focused and locked in because DeMar is going to allow them to. He is great at that. Not only taking care of his first 5, but the 3, 4 that come off that bench that really need a spark for them. I see the difficulty-ness in Golden State. We talked about this off the air because of Draymond. Who controls him? Steph seems to got out of control with him. He really can't bring him down. And I think sometimes you see a lot of frustration on Kerr's face too when he kind of takes off. So, Houston is going to be up and coming. Dallas may be a great chance because the assist that's going to come from Kyrie and Luka and a sharpshooter and a revenge shooter as Clay. He's got a lot on his mind right now. He's got a lot of revenge coming.
I know you've got a presence in that Dallas market, and we certainly want to get your thoughts on the Southwestern Division there. We do need to jump to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. You're listening to 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Let's say you've got questions. You're looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Well, Harmon Solar has the answers. Hi, I'm Jeffrey O'Brien, and listen, there's a couple of ways you can go here. One, visit harmonsolar.com, browse around, because right across the page, they got links to all sorts of great information, like frequently asked questions, equipment, tax credits, even testimonials. Or just give them a call, 800-281-3189. Ask them directly. They'd love to hear from you. That's 800-281-3189. Or just go to harmonsolar.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Welcome back. This is Beat the Book. I am your host, Dylan Cohen, joined by Keon Rose in the control room, and we are having a conversation with former Phoenix Suns player Said Ceballos about the upcoming NBA season. We just went pretty in depth on the Pacific Division, covered all the different teams, and I think the general consensus between myself and Said on this is that This is largely going to be a two-team race between the Sacramento Kings and the Phoenix Suns. We're both probably leaning a bit towards the Suns, but don't be surprised if Sacramento puts together a pretty competitive team. With DeMar DeRozan being added into the fold, that's a 24-point per game scorer from last season, and that's now going to play alongside De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. So there is definitely some potential with that big three that they've put together in Sacramento. But if you didn't happen to know this, Sed Ceballos is a bit of a figure in the Dallas area as well, and he certainly knows his Southwest Division basketball. Said we were talking a bit off the air here just about the different teams, and to me that division, it's probably the most difficult division in the entire league. Looking at all the teams on paper and who's going to come out on top, I mean, you could make a case from the bottom to the top of why any one of these teams could win. I think the most interesting and the one with possibly the highest potential, believe it or not, is the San Antonio Spurs. And that's just purely because Victor Wembanyama is this unbelievable generational talent that we have just never really seen before. And the guy just appears to get better and better and better every time that we watch him. As time goes on, he has performed at the biggest stages possible. He just had a great showing with Team France in the Olympics, helped lead them to a silver medal, very close final game against Team USA for that gold. Said, what are your thoughts on Victor Wembanyama?
Well, when every team in the NBA saw Victor crying in the Olympics, they were like, oh my God, he's coming. And he's coming in a huge way. He's figured out, if I'm playing with some good talent, I got a chance to do some things. And obviously, like you said, that game in the finals was just unbelievable. It could have went in either way, but, obviously Curry in a hurry is on a different level. And he's going to get there. Popovich is not a panic button, and he knew this was going to take 1 or 2 years, but he got a gift and a veteran guy, and we had him here in the Valley before, Chris Paul, to calm him down, to the foolishness, to knowing that, okay, you are a phenomenon because your height and the way you move and your ability, but you have an opportunity early, like the Tim Duncans before you, like David Robinson's, but well, David didn't do it early in his career, but to win a championship, and you have to take that mentality on, knowing that he can call either one of those guys at any time, come down, help me on this, or what should I do here? But I think the biggest thing was his emotion on the way he felt about losing in the finals in the Olympics, and that's going to be tough. They're going to play hard because it's a Popovich team, obviously. But I think the silliness and also the fear of, should I take this game over, has gone from this guy. And his abilities are great. He's a great guy. Funny story real quick. I was at the Wings game in Dallas, and he sat next to me. I didn't know who he was at all. I just was like, man, you should play basketball. And he was like, yeah, I'm thinking.
Really tall.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. And then the very next day, this friend of mine invited me to come see a kid work out that he's been training, and it was him. And I was like, man, I apologize. I had no idea who you were. But I think it's great. I mean, we haven't discussed Dallas. We tapped on it a little bit before the break. Clay is in revenge mode. He's ticked off. And when you get a guy who can set his feet and light it up, it points the way he can, with two guys who can spot him open before he even knows he's open, with Luka and Kyrie. It's just great. I thought the way that Jason Kidd has put the defensive side to that, knowing that Luka is not great at defensive, and sometimes they isolated him a lot during the playoffs last year. But I think he's kind of taken care of that. There's matured his team on defensive on where Luka should and should not be, and when you can help. We haven't even touched on Oklahoma. We haven't even touched on Memphis, New Orleans. I mean, this is just going to be a great. I mean, if you're in the Pacific, it's always been like that. But if you're in the Pacific, man, the West Coast is just unbelievable. If Ja puts all that gun stuff behind him, and it's not bashful, because you saw some flashes of him before the injuries last year, and but he still didn't want to party. He didn't want to celebrate a lot or be as flashy, because he knew he was under that microscope. And people were going to be like, criticizing him for every little thing. There he goes, being immature again. I understand that. He made a mistake. He should move. He should be able to move on. But then Zion, he sliced that meat and cut all of that fat down. He's ripped up. He's taken himself to another level with his diet. I love Brandon Ingram. Even when he was with the Lakers, I know he has an opportunity and no fear in his heart. So it's going to be where do you go? And then I have the young fella who probably got some MVP votes taken away from him, and Kid Gildress is just going to be unbelievable, and they're going to get bigger and better as well too. So who knows?
So within the Southwest Division, we talked about the Spurs. Spurs brought in Harrison Barnes, the guy with a championship pedigree, pretty active two-way player. They also drafted Stephon Castle, who was an excellent point guard for UConn. We talk about what Chris Paul's going to do for Wemby's game, but then there's this dynamic of what Chris Paul's going to do for Stephon Castle's very first year in the league. Yeah. I mean, that's like the best possible time that you could, attach him to the hip of one of the greatest point guards of all time and, give him probably the perfect mentor to, help guide him in those early years of his career.
Let me ask you, do you start him?
So, that was something that I was thinking about as I was putting the post together yesterday. I think at first Castle does not start, but he very quickly will play his way into the starting lineup. Definitely by the end of the season, I am expecting him to be a starter. But you got to keep in mind, Popovich tends to be a little conservative with his rookies. He doesn't like to play them for very heavy minutes. If you think about Wemby last year, for all the great things that he did, he averaged under 30 minutes per game. That's one of the big pieces of why I see him having such a big leap in year two. It's almost kind of a gamble on how much time is he going to get in these games, because if his, minutes per game average is 3 minutes higher, if it's, closer to 33 minutes per game, you're going to see huge bumps in his averages for points, rebounds, blocks. All that stuff translates the more time he gets on the court. Then you've got a team like Houston, who didn't really do a whole lot. They did bring in Reed Shepherd, who, is looking to compete for Rookie of the Year. So there could be some promise there. You've got the Pelicans, who pulled off a huge trade for DeJounte Murray. So now they've got an interesting combination of talented all-stars. Then you've got the Mavericks, as you mentioned, Klay Thompson, big addition. We'll see what happens there. Then there's the Memphis Grizzlies, who may have the biggest chip on their shoulder out of any team in the NBA.
Then the biggest trade.
And
Timberwolves.
Then you've got the Timberwolves as well. So, this is a conversation that's going to be ongoing with us. We've got time. The season doesn't start for, a few more weeks here.
21 days.
21 days. But just want to say thank you so much again for joining us today, Ced. We're looking forward to having you back. And you are listening to 1580 The Fanatic. Stick around. We've got the Daily Blender coming up next. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ced, for joining us on the show. Tomorrow, we've got a lot of NFL stuff to get to with Thursday Night Football right around the corner. This is Beat the Book, 1580 The Fanatic.